Just say thank you so much for taking your time out to speak to me today about this brand new series of shorts. Loving them all. So I'm gonna first off just gonna say, Tendayi, how did this project first come about?
Yeah, so it started, the idea came from one of the publicity directors at Triggerfish. His name is Kevin Creedman, and he'd been doing a lot of travel and was covering a lot of stories where people were talking about the future of other places in the world. So what's the future of Africa? What's the future of the US in 100 years? What does Europe look like 100 years from now? But people weren't really talking about Africa. I think I typoed earlier. But people were not talking about the future of Africa, right? Black Panther falls on us, right? And it's phenomenal, right? And it's a movement. And the conversation started around, well, how would Africans define themselves? Because Black Panther is an African-American take on the future. But how about us, right? So we put this pitch together to Disney, and we were like, they're amazing storytellers on the continent. If you can get behind us, we will find directors and support them and tell amazing stories, right, about a future Africa. So we scoped, we found folks, we found 73 people, and we asked them to pitch a story that answered 3 questions. What does the future look like for you in your own perspective? Make it optimistic. If it was an optimistic future, what would your story be? And can it be sci-fi? So those 73 people pitched some ideas. We went over a development process of about a year, and people were kind of falling away, just depending on how the ideas evolved. And we ended up with 10 shorts, 6 African countries represented, and 14 directors directing these short films. So that's been the life cycle of the anthology, and 5 July, the world gets to see them. So super pumped.
Yes, that's super exciting. So I'm going to ask you guys as well about your individual shorts. So if you just want to give us kind of an idea of where your inspiration come from each of your shorts, and I'll just let you go down the line.
Okay. So my short film Mukii, a lot of the inspiration came from the ruins of Great Zimbabwe. I think that Black Panther really opened a door for us as African storytellers to really tell our stories. But one of the biggest criticisms around Black Panther was that Wakanda is a fictitious place, and the idea that Africans or people of color being part of a civilization that was leaders in any form of industry is just ludicrous. So, but we know as Zimbabweans that there was a civilization that was the pinnacle of all these things. And even though it's not around right now, it was there and it was in us, and it's proof that as Africans that we can be leaders in different forms of industry. So just to tell a story that would kind of materialize something that's grounded, so as much as it's science fiction, it's actually grounded in a civilization that was real.
Okay, that is cool. Thank you.
My name is Ngando. I'm the director of Enkai, and my film is a coming of age story. And I was looking at the period in time where, you know, when you're young and you're looking at your parents, you know, especially your mother, taking care of you, and you can see that your mother is really struggling. I really can't. Your mother is really struggling, and maybe they're overcome with the things that they're carrying. You know, there's women, especially like Black women, Indigenous women, are always carrying a lot of weight for their societies. So I wanted to create a film in which this young girl who is seeing her mother carrying this weight is able to understand that her mother could put this weight down. You know, that there is a different way to live in life, and that we don't have to carry all of the things that have been put onto our shoulders, whether it's through like customs or it's through the patriarchy or whatever it is that enjoys burdening women in society. So I wanted to create a film in which I could look at that period, you know, this almost 12-year-old sort of almost going into puberty period, where you are entirely helpless in terms of what's happening within the adult world. But this child is able to provide liberation, is able to provide hope for a different future, and is able to envision that because she is young and because she, you know, she has a different way of looking at the world.
That's great. Can't wait for everyone to see this one. And finally,
I'm Tshepo Moche, and I directed first Totem Problems, and also a coming of age comedy, family comedy, that deals with a young teen who is wanting to be seen and heard in a culture where children are seen and not necessarily heard. And she's basically claiming space and not necessarily finding her voice, but expressing her voice in a way that works for her, and which results in also bringing together her family from an ancestral world and from her actual living.
That's cool. So obviously it's coming out on July the 5th on Disney Plus. Are you excited or nervous or a mix of both about this one? And again, that's to all of you.
I am pumped. It's been 3 years, eh? I was like, somebody's got to see this, man. So no, just excited. I mean, I'm proud of my African heritage, and I feel like everybody represented the uniqueness of where they're from and their sensibilities, their art styles, the way they see themselves so beautifully. And I'm just excited for the world to experience it and react to it as well.
That's cool. And to everybody else?
No fear. Yeah, excitement, joy, feeling inspired, feeling warm and fuzzy all inside. Excited to, get the feedback from people who are watching from all facets. I'm excited to further engage with the rest of the directors and be able to hopefully, have more of these kind of interviews and express and share more of, the behind the scenes of what happened on this journey, because that's just as important as what we're presenting on film. So just really excited for people to take in everything that we've created and hopefully, paying it forward, moving it forward. Yeah, really excited.
That's cool. Thank you.
To watch it myself as well again.
Yes.
I want to watch them again myself. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, we first watched the 10 films when we were in LA for the American Film Showcase, it was such a mind-blowing experience. Like, we all knew that we're working really hard on these projects, but we just didn't understand exactly how beautiful they were, especially as a whole, like as a group of films. So I'm really excited for the world to be able to see these African animations, like showcasing that we are, like, we can work on a global scale. We are world-class animation producers, and for other people who are on the continent to understand that they can also aspire to these sort of things. It takes seeing people who are already in positions, creating and doing things and moving and breaking boundaries for you to be able to think, I want to do that. We've already been breaking boundaries within music, within acting, in different spaces. And animation is it's sort of been, waiting for this accessibility. We've been waiting for this sort of support so that we can really push the boundaries of how we express ourselves in animation. So I think that's just really exciting to be able to get that opportunity, and then for people to watch it on such a global scale. So yeah, and yeah, keep talking to us about it. We wanna know.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure at some point my family probably thinks I've been doing something illegal, because I've been telling them I'm working on a film for 3 years and it's 10 minutes long, It's every Christmas, are you still working on that 10-minute film? It's been 3 years now. So finally they can see I've been working, I wasn't lying. So yeah, I'm just, I'm excited for people who've contributed and helped me over the last 3 years get to the finishing line, to see what they've helped me contribute, or what their contributions have helped.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great to see everyone.
I love that. I think there is like generally like a confusion in terms of what is the meaning of producing an animation. For all of us coming from, it's like I think we're first generation like animators within our families. It's not like one of our parents or someone else or an uncle has been doing it. So even my mom, she called my first film Yellow Fever, like my first proper film. She called it a ka film. And when you put ka in front of a word, it makes it diminutive. Like if you want to say a little chair, you say ka chair. Yeah. So she's like, oh, it's your ka film, ka film. So this is another ka film, but they're monumental even in their ka-ness.
Yeah, we're gonna change ka.
No, it's true. From your mother to my daughter, they're all waiting.
Yeah, I mean, even my parents are like, you write about cartoons?
We call them Popeyes. We call them Popeyes in South Africa. They're like, are you doing a Popeye? It's like,
right.
Yeah, that's what they call it. I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah, it's and that kind of thing as well. this is kind of more for the future. Would you like to do like another project like this, but maybe like with a different theme? You know, would you like to do something like that?
Like an anthology series again?
Yeah,
or?
yeah, either an anthology or like maybe even a movie along those lines. Do something else along these with Disney.
No, I don't want to make.
Nah,
I
I
don't
mean,
want to
what's
make
the-
a
no,
movie.
no.
No, are you kidding?
No, I think I think all of us, like even with these films that we made now, none of these films were like, yes, you're going to see the credits roll at the 10 minutes, but those are not the end of the films. Like at any point, whether it be them being expanded into a film, a series, or whether, you know, nuggets of it is being turned into something completely or different or original or new. These are not the end of the films either way. So I think we all have aspirations to definitely keep it moving. And how can you not? I mean, I hate to give that big responsibility Spider-Man speech, but at the end of the day, we are all, I think, very aware of what we've experienced and the benefits and what it's given us and what it's given everybody that we've worked with. And I don't know, personally, I would like to experience that again and again and again and again, and afford others, or at least be able to engage others, to be able to experience it with me, around me, above me, below me. But without fail, none of us are putting our hands down. That would be ridiculous.
I have a confession.
Oh, she quit.
I have a confession. Some point last year, I was like, you know what, because I was directing on my own, and Triggerfish asked me a few times, do you want a co-director? And I was like, I don't need someone, no. And then some point last year, I was like, yo, you guys, you can co-direct, you can take the film, you can just, like, I need a break, yeah. And I was like, I was ready. And I thought, you know, after this film, I can take a break. I don't need to make any more films. I'm going to go into like a more calm lifestyle, something more chilled out. But by the end, again, I was like, okay, what are we doing next? What am I doing next? And even now, you know, I teach at a university, and it's summer break. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, where's my crew? Why do I feel empty inside? You know, I want feedback on some frames, like what's going on? So there's like a thirst. Yeah, there's a thirst, and I need to keep creating, and I need to keep telling stories and to share these really collaborative spaces that are so saturating.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Very fulfilling. Taf, did you want to say something?
Yeah, did you?
Are you done?
Are you
done with
okay?
filmmaking, or
Are
wanna
you
make some
fine?
more?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. My life is the movie already. There's enough entertainment in my life. I mean, I don't need to make any more. Yeah, I think that, you know, it definitely, if I would say I would like to see this opened up a bit more if I could re-envision this. I mean, I think it's fantastic. I think sci-fi was a great way to open the conversation door for African animation, right? So the door is open. I would love to see a bit more fantasy. I would also just like to see a lot more series, because I think that there's so much, when you watch every single one of these films, there's so much gold in there. And because I speak to the directors behind the scenes, and you know what they wanted to do and how they would expand stuff, I mean, you're just like, wow, I wish there was more opportunity for us to see that. So hopefully some of these become series and films.
Right. That's fantastic. And obviously that final thought from you, Tendayi.
Women. There's space for all of us here. Be brave. You don't have to do it the way other people have done it. If you look at both of these two's independent work, even outside of animation, they're just following a question and a passion. Like, hey, I just want to investigate firefighters in South Africa. And then she goes and makes a film. Or, hey, colorism. And then she goes and makes a film. So I'm like, there's a space. And I'm like, I've said to Raymond once, there is many fans, there's many directors as there are fans and audience members. So every story deserves a platform, and I just want to see more women show up and raise their hands and not judge themselves against the bar that's been set by other people, but to define what kind of stories they want to tell and be brave and tell them.
That is fantastic. It's an amazing series. Can't wait for everyone to watch it when it drops onto Disney Plus on July the 5th. Again, thank you so much. It's been fantastic speaking to you all.
Thank
It's
you.
great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.